Hello, and welcome again to this week's Creative Sanctuary. Last week we skipped because of the 4th of July holiday. As usual, we're just going to get together and create. So, if you are a little bit stuck about where to start, I always recommend you can just pretend like your pen or your paintbrush fell on the page and just made a mark. And so that's one way to get you started. Another way to get started is to just notice what you're feeling in this moment. Notice perhaps what's going on around you, what's outside. And as you notice, you can just start to allow yourself to make some marks on the page without really worrying about why those marks are what's coming out. So I welcome you to reflect on the season, your current season, what's going on in your life right now, whatever it is, and just start creating. And if there's something else you want to do instead of painting, that's all welcome. So I look forward to hearing from you and how it goes. All right, let's get started. We're all done with our time. I know I found it lovely. I hope you did. I tried something new by recording what I was doing as well, just so you can see how I work, and not so that you can necessarily copy that, but I hope what comes through is a little bit of the experimentation that I do, and that this is more about trying things and experimenting than about skill or talent. While it may seem like I had a plan, I really didn't, completely honestly. And I'm not saying that what I created is, I'm not trying to say it's great. I do like it, actually. I like where it's coming. But what I want to say is I just started trying things. And just to walk you through what that was like, I had put something down. I was moving around my paints in order to make space for the wood piece. And it created a shadow. It gave me an idea. I thought I could kind of sketch the shadow. I wasn't really loving the paint as the shadow. It was just not speaking to me. I could have done it, and that could have been cool too. But that's just not what I wanted to do. And I looked around and took note of this piece that I actually had in a different spot just before I started recording this. And so it caught my eye, and I thought, well, you know what, that could be kind of neat. And the shadow wasn't what I expected. It was a lot looser. And then I also was thinking about bringing something else in later and adding another shadow, but I decided against it. So I'm telling you this so that you can see that you can just do things on a whim and you don't have to have a plan. And it's a great way to just try things and experiment and let yourself go stream of consciousness on things. Just go with the flow and test and experiment. And then the tree shape made me think of greens. And so I started going with greens, and I decided I wanted to do the shadow first, the dark parts first. I was not planning on covering the whole thing with that darker green. I decided to keep going with it, cover it, and so on and so forth. And then I was feeling done, or at least I needed to take a break, partly because I didn't know what colors I wanted to do next. And I don't still. It's also still quite wet. So I took a break from this. Then I did that. Then I came back to this, partly because there's something for me, like I kind of hate wasting paint. Though in many ways it's not a waste because even the palette looks cool, which I'll show you in a second. But I decided to use up the paint as best I could on here, and I tried some different things. And I tried a different brush motion of twisting and twirling it and following where the bead of paint was on it. This is a really great place to experiment with those sorts of things if you feel like you want to test things out and see what happens when you use your brush in a different way, etc. That's how I use this up. And then what I wanted to show you is I actually find that palettes end up being really cool. So what happened with this is actually I ended up using it as a palette, but I bought it. If you look on the back, it's actually got a hook and all. And I got both of those at a thrift shop, Habitat Restore in particular, no affiliation. And so these were just old, ugly paintings, and something that was manufactured or whatever. And so I picked them up because I think it's really neat, actually, that it's already got the thing to hang on, so I don't have to figure out how to mount it or anything like that. This one I ended up just using as a place to mix my paints, a palette, really. And it ends up looking cool on its own. Maybe in this current life, I'm not as in love with the look of it, but there's iterations like this that I've really liked and thought about, well, I don't want to paint over this, but I've continued going, and then we'll see it. You end up with all this different texture. I don't know if you can tell, especially because of the filter, but some of these are like dried large globs of paint that I didn't get around to using up, which I do tend to like to do, but then you end up with this like topography on it. I don't know. It's just neat. I wanted to share a little bit about that just to show you that just try things and see. I just think it's an incredibly valuable experience because of the fact that you don't really get to do this very often in terms of just trying something and seeing and not having to worry so much about the outcome. It gives you confidence to experiment with things outside of art. So you'll learn a little bit about yourself. You'll maybe fall in love with a technique that you find or create or whatever. And anyway, yeah. So I hope this was as lovely for you as it was for me. I am continuing to be a little bit quiet on the membership right now, continuing my slow summer. If you have any questions, though, if you're looking for anything, please let me know. And I will see you next time. Until then, have a great week.